What is going on, fellow reformers? It's the Reformation Keegan, and I'm here today with another video. And today is a what if and a hypothetical video. So, I've been asked before a what if question that honestly didn't start piquing my interest until a little while ago. And that question is, what if Batman encountered Walter White, aka Heisenberg? So, for those who have never watched, Breaking Bad is a critically acclaimed TV show that has Walter White as Heisenberg, and he essentially starts creating methamphetamine to support his family due to his cancer diagnosis. But that is just the simple premise because the narrative becomes way more complex after that. So, if you haven't watched Breaking Bad, you might not understand the story conveyed in this video. You might not understand the hypothetical uh, discussion that I'm going to engage in, but I highly recommend the show. So a lot of people think it is the greatest show of all time, which everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I still have not seen Better Call Saul, so I don't want to get my full opinion on the canon as a whole until after Better Call Saul. So let's get back to the video, though. We have Batman encountering Heisenberg. So, as many of you know, Gotham City is riddled with crime, and if it was a real city, it would be the most dangerous city in the world because Batman has to deal with the likes of the Joker and Two-Face, Mr. Freeze, Scarecrow, Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, Killer Croc, Clayface, Hugo Strange, Ra's al Ghul. There's so many people and different personalities that Batman has to contend with, and he has a different relationship with every single one of them. So we have to ask ourselves, what kind of villain would Heisenberg be? He would just be creating crystal meth, and that would be a drug lord that Batman would have to take down. And Batman takes down so many different types of criminals. So, for example, the Penguin is a prime example where, if Batman can ever solve the Penguin's proverbial equation, he can get to him and help stop the crime-ridden pursuits that the Penguin's going to partake in, especially with drug dealing. So Heisenberg does not have the resources that the Penguin has, though. And Heisenberg, aka Walter White, he kind of runs things more as a singular entity, even though he does have Jesse and a loose affiliation with Gus, which does not always turn out great. So we do have that, but it's hard for me to fully engage in this what if because I believe that Bruce would catch Heisenberg relatively quickly. I believe if Batman or Bruce met Heisenberg and just even had an interaction with him or saw how he acted, it would be a very easy catch because Walter White wears his heart on his sleeve and wears his emotion on his sleeve, and Bruce is very good at seeing the emotions of other people and getting them to crack or seeing the cracks in the proverbial armor. So I think it would be relatively simple. I think that he would either see Heisenberg and he would see those cracks in the armor, and then he would just quickly investigate him in the Batcave and then go beat him up and get him arrested. I think it could be that simple. But if we're going to take the narrative a little bit further, I think what would happen is you would start to hear rumors in Gotham. So obviously, Heisenberg's in New Mexico, but let's say Heisenberg's going to make a deal with the Penguin or some other crime lord, in Gotham, and Batman starts hearing the rumors of Heisenberg wanting to expand into Gotham City, and he expands into Gotham City, and what happens is he ends up affiliating with someone, like I said, like the Penguin or somebody else in that nature, and they're going to make a trade or they're going to barter or they're going to try and run a company together and form a partnership. So he hears of Heisenberg and he finds out that Heisenberg is going to establish a new physical place to produce his crystal meth and to run his business. And then eventually he finds out that Jesse Pinkman is going to be the other proprietor in that company. And so Bruce just basically goes in the Batcave. He does some investigating. He finds out that Heisenberg is Walter White and a family man, and obviously he has Walt Jr. and Skyler. So, he wants to try to take it a bit easy because he sees that Walter White is more of a troubled man than he is a villain per se. So first, actually, Batman will corner him and probably try and reason with him and actually gives him a chance to try to get him out of Gotham and to go back home to his family. But Heisenberg is persistent and stubborn with it and actually tries to challenge Batman. And then he ends up trying to still do underhanded tactics to keep his business going in Gotham, which further frustrates the Cape Crusader, and he ends up going back to investigate more, and he finds out about all his dealings back in New Mexico and his affiliation with Gus Fring, because in this canon, I guess Gus would be alive, maybe. So we find that out, and then eventually, Heisenberg ends up making bigger deals, and this causes anarchy on the streets of Gotham. The streets of Gotham are always filled with anarchy, but this causes further anarchy, and it causes other villains to go more against each other. It causes fellow Gothamites to get addicted to crystal meth because he starts distributing it into, Gotham High School starts, distributing it into Gotham University, even for students. Maybe he's like, claiming this meth to be like a narcotic to get them to study better, things like that, like little, just expand and get creative. And then what happens is, the students start getting addicted to it. They start performing better in school, but then also they get addicted to crystal meth, so they end up becoming addicts, and it's just a temporary fix, and then it becomes a permanent fix once they can't operate at a full capacity anymore, and they either, drop out of Gotham University, or once they graduate, they don't have the capabilities to have an occupation. So we see that happening throughout Gotham, and then eventually Bruce has enough. And in the Batcave, he does further research, finds all this stuff out. And then basically what happens is he beats the hell out of Jesse, and then he beats the hell out of Walt. And, he dodges their gunshots, things like that, just small things, and then arrests them. And then that's basically it. I don't think it would be much of a competition, really. I think it would be like a fun Batman animated series episode, or just a 20 to 30 minute, special episode. As an Elseworlds, I think it would be a lot of fun. I think this would be a really fun Elseworlds story as a one-shot. If you're going to write a comic on it, which something I would consider doing, it could only be a one-shot. I don't think you could go farther with this, because Hank is a part of the DA, but it took Hank how many seasons, until the last season really, to find out that Walter White was Heisenberg, and it took him that long. He's a DA. Which is kind of ironic, and he's that close, so that it could also be an argument of denial too. Maybe Hank did know and then just didn't want to admit it, but based on his reaction, I don't really think it was denial. So that's the incompetency of it, whereas Bruce is the farthest thing from incompetent. He's extremely intelligent, he's a great detective, he does his research, he does it very thoroughly, and also he has Alfred as his proverbial wise man to tell him, things that maybe Bruce would not think of when he's thinking in a moment of anger or a moment of angst. So it would be a very easy catch. I think the more fun route to go would be with Gus, because I believe Gus is a lot more cold, a lot more calculating, a lot more intelligent, and a lot more dangerous. I could see it being a fun little mini series, maybe if Bruce had to investigate Gus and maybe try to investigate Los Polos Hermanos, and then maybe go into combat with the Salamanca brothers, and then maybe encounter Hector and maybe even Mike. I think that story would be a lot more fun, because I think Gus, like I said, is way more of a threat and is way more of a challenge. So I would love to see that. I think that would be fun. Maybe, maybe someone can collaborate with me on that. I would love to maybe even write that. So I think that would be fun. Or if someone else writes it, good on them. Because there's probably even more Breaking Bad enthusiasts out there that are, at a grander scale than I am. So again, I don't think it'd be much of a competition. I think it would be relatively short, but fun. It would be kind of like, I think a lot of people say it's all killer, no filler. I think that's what this story would be, and it'd be a good little placeholder. But yeah, it'd be fun. It would definitely be fun, because again, it's a crime written narrative that I think, most Batman writers and enthusiasts could sink their teeth into, but it just wouldn't be a long-term solution to any story going forward. It'd have to be its own little independent entity. So that's basically what I think would happen if Batman Bruce Wayne ever ran into Heisenberg, aka Walter White. But I don't think Walt and Jesse ever have strong plans in execution, so I think their execution would definitely lack, and that's where Bruce would take advantage. And Bruce would not really need much help to accomplish what he needs to accomplish. So that's what I think. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'm on the road to 500 subscribers and 3,000 watch hours. If we can get to that, I will become a YouTube partner and I can give you better videos going forward. So let's get to that, and I will see you really soon.